Please welcome to the stage Gregor Wegberg, who is Head of Digital Forensics and Incident Response at Oneconsult, another one of our sponsors. He will be talking to us about what you can learn from cyber incidences to improve your resilience. Please give a big round of applause to Gregor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, I want to talk to you about resilience, be it cyber resilience, IT security resilience, whatever term you fancy. And the idea is basically to talk about it from the viewpoint of cyber incidents. And if you have seen the previous presentation by Stefan, I think you will see a few topics that repeat themselves because, well, to be honest, we see all the time all the same things that happen and fail. My whole idea behind this presentation is to show you what we've experienced from different incidents. So I'm leading the so-called Oneconsult International Computer Security Incident Response Team, a handful of letters. So OC and CSERT, we basically do incident response and digital forensics. Nowadays, ransomware, of course, because what is there still left to do aside from ransomware? A bit of business email compromise and of course also some investigation because the internet is great to do mobbing. And the presentation, the reason I selected this topic is I got a bit annoyed, to be honest, because we see the very same thing every time we help our customers. And the fact is, every time we meet our customers, we are called upon to help them with a cyber incident. We see a company that did come to a standstill, that everything basically broke down. No one is working. Everyone is sitting around, maybe going home, drinking coffee, and no one knows what's happening. And the only people who are still doing any kind of work is the IT department because they try to figure out what's even happening. And if we are talking about resilience, for me, this is not a solution. So it cannot be for the future that we have a cybersecurity incident and the one thing that happens, everything stops. No one is producing anything, no services are rendered. Basically, the company does not the thing it is supposed to do. And if we are talking about resilience, again, there is a lot of different topics, and you will see lots of blog posts talking about NIST cybersecurity framework, EDR, CM, NDR, MDR, and so on, and all under the umbrella of a cyber resilience term. For me, cyber resilience is very similar to agility. So for me, it's more a mindset that you apply to cybersecurity, that you apply to your IT security. It's more thinking about, okay, we are under constant attack. You all know the term. It's not a question if, but more when will something happen. So how can we maintain our operations? And if necessary, how can we recover quickly from a cyber attack? This is the key point for me at least, if we are talking about cyber resilience or any kind of other resilience, whatever you like. I'm got used to using the cyber word because I'm talking usually to management, and cyber is a bit easier to explain than the difference between IT security, information security, cyber security, OT security, IoT security, and so on. Anyway, and what I want to show you is some lessons that we've learned, or I have learned from incidents, with the idea that hopefully you can apply these questions, these tasks to your organization that leads to a situation where if you call us or InfoGuard or any other company to help you with a cyber incident, you are still producing something. There is still a reason for you to exist aside from your IT department running around in circles. And the very first thing I would like you to think about, and the keyword is MITRE ATT&CK framework, for instance here, is to prepare for the common attack paths. To really look at it, how do attackers get inside your organization? What do they do next? And think about what can you do to prevent that. And of course, we are talking after you did the basics, after you have MFA rolled out, after you have AV installed or EDR installed. Some basic, you need a firewall still. Even if you do zero trust, there's still somewhere something that is a firewall in the end. This is something that you have to do first, but afterwards, before you try to do any machine learning, big data, AI-driven security, I would highly recommend to you to think about these lessons. So first, think about the common path. And let me make a simple example. So something that I really don't understand as a security professional, and I think I'm preaching to the choir, but of course there are business reasons why it's happening, how it is happening, is there will be unpatchable or not yet patchable vulnerabilities on your border. This is just a fact. We have seen it with Microsoft Exchange Server, we have seen it with VPN gateways, remote access gateways, and so on and so on. So why, after we've had 2 vulnerability change with Microsoft Exchange Server, that no company, at least that I know of, have had a discussion, what did they learn from that, and then prepared a plan to react to the next vulnerability change that will come up in the future, and we've had that in this year. So again, everyone is running around, no one knows and is calling me for help for a vulnerability that cannot be patched. And we start to recommend the mitigations that Microsoft is recommending. It turns out they are not enough or they are wrong. PowerShell remoting, do we need to disable it or not? No one knows. It's changing every week. So why don't we already prepare today for that situation? So for instance, why don't we have a plan to disable access to the OVA part of an Exchange server, or putting it behind our corporate VPN, or something like that, whatever works for your organization, to be prepared for the next vulnerability in Microsoft Exchange or any other product. Because I think it's a really simple thing to prepare, and simple is you need a day to work it out, to prepare, to write it down, to discuss it maybe, and then next time Microsoft informs you of a not yet patchable vulnerability, you just execute that plan by limiting access, and what you win is time. You win time to understand the mitigation, to think about potential mitigation and controls. You can even ideally call security experts to check on your servers, on the affected devices, products, if they were already compromised, because usually it's a 0 day, and you know what that means. Every marketing department is very happy. They can publish another blog post and make you angry or scared. So the most important part I want to give you today is start thinking about small, standardized approaches, procedures, playbooks, whatever you want to call it, processes, for small situations that are very likely to happen. Do you have a playbook how to handle a successful phishing email in your organization? Do you know how to reset user passwords in case you have to assume that an account was breached? The same for service accounts. Do you know how to reset the Kerberos user password, how to invalidate any OAuth access tokens, and so on? Do you have this ready to go? Because it's very likely that your users get phished. It's very likely that you will have a vulnerable system on your border connected to the internet. These are all cases you have to assume they will happen within 12 months. So please prepare some checklists, some approaches to handle them. Otherwise, you are every time shocked, you don't know what to do, and this makes your job very hard, and you will get unhappy. And in the worst case, if it's a real incident, a ransomware that really affects your organization, you have very unmotivated and ideally, I hope, not burned out people after a few weeks because you're not ready for it. Now, I don't want to be too mean to you, but I assume at least half of this room doesn't really know what it takes for your business to work, or what even your business uses to be successful, to earn money, and so on. And this is, again, something that makes me very sad, which is also something that leads to very long-lasting incident response cases where we try to help the customer over months, even years. We've had this year 2 cases that are still going on, and they started in last December. And the reason is because the organization or the IT department, in this specific case, and the security department don't really know what their organization is even doing and what is needed for that. You can call it crown jewels, you can call it having an asset inventory, you can do it with process, risk analysis, whatever you want to do or how you want to call it. But please find out what is necessary for your organization, for your business to start moving on again if you have a case where everything must be shut down because, for instance, ransomware. Because this is your roadmap to recover your IT systems, to recover your whole organization. There is no reason for your organization to exist if it cannot do its job. The reason it exists. So please find out what's the reason for the existence of your organization. And once you have found out which systems are necessary, especially this is something that works great in the manufacturing industry. So, for instance, you have logistic departments that need some systems, an SAP system, whatever, some systems to work. And they need only a few of them to work less efficiently, but they can still keep moving. The same is true for production. And now ask yourself, can we plan ahead for a case where we assume that we are breached, that we are being attacked, be it a gut feeling or be it an external SOC provider that tells you it? And then have, again, a plan ready where someone in the IT department within minutes just isolates those environments from the rest of the network and also from the internet. Again, you lose efficiency maybe. It's not an easy task, but especially in the manufacturing world, it is doable. We have seen it, and very successfully being implemented. So the idea is basically the containment phase at the beginning of an incident that you have already a plan in place, which allows you to keep your business going. Again, resilience. You are being attacked, but it doesn't lead to you stopping anything you're doing, or at least not everything. The idea of disconnecting the whole connectivity to the internet is really a very rough approach. It should be done if you don't have anything else in place, but ideally you can isolate different parts of your organization. And this again is connected with, do you even know what you will do in the first hour? I've supported multiple companies building up their incident response plan, having procedures, processes. It's really more of an incident management system that we've built. And then I usually have at some point, I have the feeling in my gut that something is wrong, it won't work. And what I do usually is play it out. Ask them, okay, everything is encrypted. What do you do first? And ideally they tell you, okay, I'm going to call this person, I'm going to call this person, all great and good, they must be informed. It's the next slide, I think, or the next slide. But how do they react? How do you do the containment? Ask that question. You must be sure that you know what you do in the first hour. And again, think about the common attack paths, or the common attacks, ransomware, business email compromise, maybe denial of service attacks against you. And really think, what is our first step? And again, write it down. And part of it is, of course, knowing who you're going to call to get help. And the idea, again, think about what's happening, what would happen, how it would look like. So write it maybe on a piece of paper or print it out, because your Confluence or whatever you use to track your data is maybe not available anymore. And really write everything down, your internal contacts, your external contacts, service providers, anyone that could help you. And then start talking to them maybe about how would you help me, what's possible. Oh, I love that. So, of course, ransomware, business email compromise, it's an IT problem, right? Who else is necessary? No, it's not. In 2022, any kind of cyber attack is not only a problem for the IT department or the security department or whoever it is. And it's still happening. I'm still seeing board of directors, C-level people, just telling the IT department, in case of a ransomware attack, nothing is working anymore, telling them, please resolve that, I'm going on holiday. This is not going to work out. Especially not in Switzerland. If you are attacked by if you have a business email compromise, if you have a ransomware, you have to assume that you have unauthorized access to your data. Very likely personal identifiable information. So your data privacy officer should be at least available for you to find out what are the laws that you have to oblige to, what is necessary to do there. Then you need a budget, because security professionals that will help you to handle that incident are not very cheap, so you need to pay them. You need a budget. Someone has to decide that you have that budget. Again, board of directors, C-level people are also potentially liable for what's happening and will happen during the incident response. They must be informed, and they must also be at the table during the decisions. But you need also marketing people, communication people to do the internal and external communication, and so on and so on. And the idea here is that you, if you're working for the IT department, or you as a cybersecurity specialist, or whatever term you prefer, I don't want to use the cyber too much, you have to delegate anything that is not your specialty to someone else. So you have the time to do the technical stuff, to rebuild your IT systems. And this you can only reach if you have all the necessary people at the table. So I don't want organizations to send all their workers home just because they got breached. That's not a good idea. So you need people, and I will talk about it, who will organize food, drinks, help out, write protocols of meetings, check in with people if they've got enough sleep, and so on. So you need, anyway, lots of people who do not do the technical stuff. And these people should not sit at home. Now, all great and nice. I assume you agree so far with me. Of course, we have to do it. But where do we start? Or what is more important than what is important, what is less important? And the easiest thing I can tell you, and this works really great for yourself if you do it in your own head, but also with people. So get inspired by all the reports of incidents, especially a bit more technical ones. So be it the report on bleeping computer, for instance, if it should not be too technical, or for instance also the Microsoft Dart. Blog posts are very interesting and usually detailed enough for you to start thinking about, okay, what if it's not that company, but my company, my organization? And again, and think through everything that I've talked so far. So think about, what is our first step? What would be our first step? How do we handle that? Who is responsible for what? And based on that, you can find out where are you missing documents, procedures, checklists, whatever is necessary to close these gaps. This is the key point. So play it through. Don't just do what Oneconsult is writing in their blog posts or any other company is recommending to you. This is really the key point, which allows you to find out what is necessary for you and your organization. And then, of course, don't do it just alone. Talk to other people, of course. Talk to your business department, logistics, manufacturing, I don't know, HR, finance department, whatever is important in your organization. And ask them what is important, what do you use daily to do your work? Okay. And now, this is no longer available to you. Not for an hour, not for a day, but for weeks. What will happen to our business? Can you still move forward, still do some parts without those systems? If so, great. So there are sometimes solutions where you still do some valuable work, although all the important systems are gone. But also it allows your peers to think about how they can prepare themselves for such a case. Not the technical part, but everything else that is related to their business. So for instance, we have a manufacturing company that we've supported where the logistics department decided that if it looks like the system is gone for 2 days, and very likely not longer, they would just do inventory. So everyone stays in the company and does inventory. Great. We add value. We are still doing something valuable as an organization that will result in something good. No one is going home. If it's longer, for longer cases, they have a very old printer that basically has endless paper. I'm not sure how it's called nowadays, but they can basically print all the time. And they always have the latest inventory, according to their SAP systems, printed out. Not very ecological, of course, but because if the logistics department still doesn't have access to their systems, they need to move out the product, otherwise they lose really big money. So they have installed a printer, they have their own notebook that is not connected to the internet, not connected to any systems, and with that and the scanner, the hand scanner, they can still send out some products. Again, not very efficiently, so they won't close all orders at once, but they can still move forward. Now, the human element. So, the first thing that usually breaks is the human, in my experience at least. That all the technical stuff we can solve. There are specialists that are specialized in that, be it as incident responders, incident managers. You have maybe IT service providers that will support you in rebuilding the IT infrastructure and so on. So the technical side is usually quite easy. It's just a question of how much time it takes. What's not so easy is that people, especially in such an emergency situation, like the whole organization has stopped. Nothing is working anymore. Everyone is going home. That it takes a real toll on the people. So you have to assume it's not a sprint, but a marathon. And you see here our branch manager, Yves, doing exactly that, but of course not because of an incident, I hope. And and something that gets lost every time, and this is the human resilience part, basically. You have to plan who is working at which point in time, who is resting, who is eating and sleeping and drinking and so on. So no alcohol, I hope, of course. This is an example plan that we just started with a customer on site. Before COVID, we did do everything on site. Now this is virtually, but you still have to think about it. And the reason being is really easy. I have really great friends because of incidents that I've met during cyber incidents and also keep in touch with them, but they no longer work. So I have at least 2 people that I know of that are still not working, even if the cyber incidents happened, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, because they burned out of it. So this is a real potential effect on your people. They will work overtime. And because of the high adrenaline, they will not stop working. So you have to tell them, stop, drink, eat, sleep, and for the love of God, please shower on the 2nd or 3rd day. And you're laughing right now because this is exactly what happened in this picture. So this is a picture from a cybersecurity incident with which I want to end also. Of course, everyone is censored because you shouldn't know to whom it happened. You see only a colleague of mine on the right, you can see. So this is an IT service provider that got hit by the trifecta with Emotet, Ryuk, and I always forget the 3rd one. Okay, no one. I always forget the 3rd one. They do IT services for healthcare, and this was really an incident where nearly hospitals had to close in Switzerland because of it, because of a ransomware attack. This is day 2. All these people didn't sleep yet. They only have eaten a bit and at least got something to drink, usually coffee for the most of them, sometimes water. And then on the 3rd day, we had to stop everything. We did a break of 4 hours and sent everyone to sleep, to relax, because we realized it's not working anymore. And I only realized it because someone recorded what I've been talking and played it back to me, where we decided with the person at the end of the table, okay, I think we have to do a break, because no one did one. Because you have this high adrenaline, you are scared that because you miss something, you do something not quickly enough, people might be affected in a hospital, of course. But it's no solution to work endlessly. And this happens also in all other organizations. It really doesn't depend on is it healthcare or not. It happens in every large-scale case, especially if you have also rather young people involved. And this is for me, the most important part. Think also about the people. And as the title says, just another pet peeve of mine, so I won't just leave you with that. Just because you buy a security product, you're not necessarily more secure. So we've heard in the previous presentation that people don't look at their AV alerts. I can confirm that. It's really annoying to be in an incident where you have AV alerts that already informed the customer 6 months ago that something is happening. No one is interested in that. But you need people to be successful. If you want to discuss anything with me, if you are not on the same page with me or see it differently, please feel free to reach out. There is a small link as a QR code. It should be safe to scan. I did it yesterday, so it should still be the same one, but I'm not guaranteeing it, where you have different webinars. Right now, only one is up. The second one will be up soon, where I also go into more details how cyber incidents happen, what we are doing there, and what you can learn from them, if you're interested. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Gregor, for that fantastic presentation.